Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. HTM here, and believe it or not, it's time for another DLC in Elder Scrolls Online. In this video, we'll be talking about Update 36 and the Firesong DLC. This is going to open up a new area just north of High Isle, a smaller set of islands that we get to explore. There are a few new quality of life systems that are added to the game, things like the target marker system. There'll be some updates to housing to improve quality of life. Also, a new setting to hide pets in cities, to make it easier to access things like crafting stations and banks. For PvP, Emperor bonuses will now scale depending on how many keeps you own, and they've added armory stations in both Cyrodiil and Imperial City. So this is a smaller update, definitely. Not a ton of changes here. Also, the class changes are very small, just a slight tweak to Wardens in this week 1 patch, so I'm not going to be covering much of that. Instead, I want to talk about the sets. Coming soon with this new zone, we've got 3 overland sets, 3 mythic items, and a lot of these are really interesting. It's going to add some pretty crazy options to builds in the future, especially when we look at those mythic items. So let's go ahead and jump into the set portion of the patch notes and show you what is coming soon. So first, let's start with overland sets. We have a light set, a medium set, and a heavy set. The light set is called Back Alley Gourmand. This gives you a critical chance bonus, another crit chance bonus, weapon and spell damage on the 4-piece bonus. And then while you have a food buff active, your critical damage and critical healing are increased by 13%. Now, this is pretty interesting. I like the fact that this is a unique buff. So this is not minor force or major force. So this is going to stack with every other crit damage and crit healing bonus that you have on your character, but you need to have a food buff active. So that's a really interesting way to do this. Now I can imagine this would be quite good for like solo builds where you're slightly more limited in terms of what buffs you have access to. You could even combine this with the Order's Wrath set from the High Isle zone. I believe that one is like 8% crit damage and crit healing, so potentially over 20% if you combine both of those sets. Like I said, I think this is really good for solo content, for arena builds. Remember though, in group content in PvE, there still is a crit damage cap of 125%. A lot of times you'll get very close to that cap based on your group buffs. So like I said, maybe a little bit more niche set, but I think it could be quite good in some cases. Let's move on to the medium armor set. This one is pretty interesting as well. This is the Phoenix Moth set. It gives you 2 stamina recovery bonuses, which is a little strange. Max stamina on the 4-piece, and then check out this 5-piece bonus. Healing yourself or an ally grants the target minor courage and minor force for 10 seconds. So that increases weapon and spell damage by 215, crit damage by 10%. This effect can occur once every 12 seconds per target. So it's definitely a group like support set or a group healer set, but it's a medium set and it has medium, stamina recovery and max stamina bonuses. So maybe a stamina healer set. This is pretty interesting. I don't know how great this is for stamina healers because those buffs are fairly common, but definitely interesting if that's the way that they're trying to go with this set. Now this heavy armor set, this Bastion set, 2-piece max stamina, 3-piece max health, 4-piece max stamina again, and then blocking an attack grants you a stack of inflection for 10 seconds, up to 3 stacks. You can gain 1 stack every half second, and this increases your magicka and stamina recovery by 106 per stack of inflection. So you can only get 3 stacks of that, which seems a little bit low. That's a little bit over 300 magicka and stamina recovery. Definitely a tank set, but that doesn't seem like a lot of recovery for a 5-piece bonus. So I don't know. I think that one needs to be buffed a little bit if they're going for more of a recovery-focused set. So those are the overland sets. Again, we got the light, medium, the heavy. That's going to be from like Delves, the world bosses in this new zone for the Firesong DLC. Now let's look at the crafted sets next. 3 of these as well. Starting with the first one, Chimera's Rebuke. This adds max magicka, max health, and max stamina. And then gaining resources from a fully charged heavy attack restores 2/3/6/3 of the gained resource to the 3 allies nearest your target. Okay, so this is actually pretty cool for like 4-man dungeon group content. This is like your heavy attacks not only give you resources, it also gives it to your group. Now it says it restores from the gained resource. So like, let's say that you're a tank running this on your sword and shield. You heavy attack, you're going to get stamina back. So all of your group mates would get stamina as well. Or if you heavy attack, like with, let's say, a restoration staff, if you're a healer, then your whole group gets magicka back. So this is going to depend very heavily on your group composition, I think. This is going to be better if you're running with all, magicka spec builds or all stamina focused builds. But I do like this. It's a pretty unique 5-piece bonus. Let's go ahead and check out the next one. This is called Old Growth Brewer, and it gives you lots of recovery. So you got stam recovery, magicka recovery, health recovery on the 4-piece. And then after drinking a potion, you gain 245 magicka stamina and health recovery for 45 seconds. So basically the duration, of a potion. That's pretty nice. If you need recovery for your build, you're going to get a ton of recovery from this. Combine that with what you're getting from the potion as well. Yeah, that is a good chunk of recovery. I don't know if that's as good as some of the other sets in the game. Wretched Vitality, for example, but it's not bad. All right, let's talk about the next one, Claw of the Forest Wraith. This one is actually pretty cool. So it gives you critical chance on the 2-piece, weapon and spell damage on the 3-piece, critical chance again on the 4-piece bonus, and then for the 5-piece here, adds 2037 critical chance to your class ability. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, this needs to be converted into a percent. I wish they would, do that on the tooltip. But I believe that's somewhere between like 8 or 9%. Okay, so about 8 to 9% critical chance to just your class abilities. So not weapon skills, not guild skills, only things that come from your class skill lines. I think this is going to be good on some classes and maybe not so good on others, depending on what skills you use, right? I could see this on maybe a Templar build or a Dragonite build. Those classes that use a lot of their class abilities, this could be kind of nice. Now, the 8 to 9% crit chance is not a lot, considering it is restricted to only class abilities. I'd like to see this get bumped up a little bit, maybe, 10 to 12%, because you do have to make a choice about which abilities you're going to use to take advantage of this. But overall, I do like the concept of that set, and I think it's going to be a nice addition to the game. It just might need a little slight buff there. Last but not least, that's going to bring us down to the Mythic items section, and this is where things get a little bit crazy. Mythics, as we know, are 1-piece sets that can be extremely powerful. Sometimes they have negative effects associated with them, but I like the route that they've been going with these lately, and that's to kind of add new play styles or new interesting mechanics into the game. And I think they're definitely doing that again here with these for the Firesong DLC. So let's check it out. The medium chest Fawn's Lark cladding. So if you continuously sprint for 1 second, you gain the ability to pass through enemies. That's already pretty interesting. Now, enemies that you pass through become charmed for 4 seconds, removing their ability to attack or cast abilities as they move toward you. So this also charms enemies for 4 seconds. Then charming an enemy this way restores 678 stamina and magicka to you and heals you for 678 health. Charming an enemy removes you from stealth. So wow, this is really interesting to me because it's adding a totally new mechanic to the game, this charmed effect, right? Now, they didn't say a ton about this. It doesn't say if there's a cooldown. It doesn't say, does this put enemies on CC immunity or not? We'll have to definitely test this out. But yeah, I think players are going to do some really interesting things with this. In other MMOs, they have classes like bards and enchanters, which I think would be really cool in a game like ESO. So we can start to play around with some of those mechanics with this set. Even for tank builds that don't have, an AoE taunt currently in the Elder Scrolls Online, maybe charm tanking could be an actual thing. So pretty cool idea. We'll have to see again how useful it actually is once the PTS goes up. Next one, the light legs here, Storm Weaver's Cavort. This adds 300 magicka recovery. And then sprinting, roll dodging, bash, break free, sneak, and block now consume magicka instead of stamina. You cannot regain magicka while blocking, sneaking, or sprinting. You can gain stamina while blocking, sneaking, or sprinting. So I've actually seen this request several times in the past few years. I've seen players ask for, why can't we switch it up so that, blocking and sprinting cost magicka instead of stamina? And they've actually done it now with this mythic item. So it's a pretty cool idea. I mean, magicka-based roll dodging, magicka-based sneaking and blocking. There's so much, this opens up a lot of potential play styles, I think. So this is a really cool idea as well. Definitely looking forward to testing that one out. And we've got one more here, Sirabane's Ward. This is a heavy belt piece. You cannot move while bracing, and then while bracing, you create a 12-meter zone of protection. Allies within the zone increase their block mitigation by 30% and their health recovery by 950. And just a developer's note here, the block mitigation and health recovery only affects allies and not the set wearer. Also using shield wall, so the Sword and Shield ultimate with this ability makes you unable to move for the entire duration of the ultimate. So just keep that in mind if you're trying to use this with that ultimate skill. So this is really interesting as well. I don't know, maybe this will help with some group encounters where the group needs higher block mitigation. I'm not really sure. Definitely an extremely niche set piece. If you guys have any ideas on this one, make sure to let me know in the comments section. And if you have any comments, concerns about these sets at all, let us know what you think. Again, this is just week 1 of the update 36 PTS, so we'll probably be seeing a few changes as we move forward to the update. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you're doing well. Stay safe out there, and I will see you around in the next video. Hey everybody, if you're struggling at all with the Elder Scrolls Online, I definitely know the feeling. I struggled with this game for months. The biggest problem I had was, even though the game says that you can play any way you want, it never really teaches you how. Like I said, it took me many months of teaching myself how the game works before I could actually start to make builds that were truly effective and fun to play. Well, today I'm excited to let you know that I finally put down my system for creating builds into a simple step-by-step guide that you can now learn and use to create your own fun and powerful builds yourself. We're calling this the ESO Zero to Hero Academy, and it's being hosted through Podia, which is an amazing online learning platform. So far, our ultimate build guide has over 25 lessons and over 2 hours of content designed to take you from a beginner to a master theory crafter. Not in years like it took me, but in just a few hours. So if you want to check out the guide and preview all of the included lessons, just click on the link below to learn more.